Hello and welcome to the Foresight Scrolls. If you're unfamiliar with the scrolls, you should go to the myth page on the website and check that out. I think it will be interesting to you. We are looking at TradingView and the collection of the Foresight Suite of Indicators. Currently, there are 4 indicators, and we're going to touch on them all here today so that you have an idea of them to decide if it's something that you want. We think that you will. We think that this is one of the best collection of professional indicators on the market available to just us common people, besides private ones that the institutions may be using. So let's get to it. We're looking at Litecoin currently. It should be said that this indicator can be used to trade stocks also, so crypto and stocks, depending on how a certain crypto or a stock is behaving. You may see some variation in what the indicators are showing you. But overall, I think you're going to be really impressed by what we have to show here. And we'll certainly show an example of something that doesn't just look perfect, because we want to be just really transparent and honest and communicate exactly what we have, because we are confident that you will want it. We certainly have enjoyed using it and are really excited to have it off the ground, because we can go back to using and trading as most of our time. We're excited about that and being able to use it. Okay, so if we get started, the first thing we're going to look at is the indicator called the flow of time. Now, this has multiple parts. I've only loaded in one currently, and I'll try to get through these quickly to keep the video short. But this may be the most important part of the flow of time, because it's sort of the thing that pulls price back to it consistently, and you can see that's true. It's constantly wanting to pull price back to it, so it gets a little further away and a little closer on both sides. So let's jump into what you can do with it. So you can certainly play the line itself, but what we really want to show you are the signals. So we have, the first thing we're going to look at are called the Genesis and the Oblivion crosses. So the Genesis crosses are when this thing goes long, and the Oblivion crosses are when this thing goes short. So you can see here, we get a Genesis cross right here, which I can tell you. Let's start over here. Look at this Genesis cross here. First of all, we have one here. It comes down, retests our line as support, comes back down here, and we get it again. We probably get a little Oblivion right there than a Genesis, but you get that Genesis, and then you get this full big move right here, which is incredible. Right here, I can tell you, we're going to turn on the Oblivion cross here in just a second, but this would probably be like a bull trap, so it's a reversal. But still, we have the signals on, so we know that that's the case. Generally speaking, when we trade, because we know we're trading against institutions, we are trading and trying to get a little bit of profit every time, but we're getting a lot of signals so we can compound those really quickly. That's our goal, is to be as simple as possible with as many trades as possible. One of the things that really hurt traders is this complexity issue. So they will find one thing that works for them, maybe let's say like an RSI, and they'll try to trade RSI, and it's working sometimes, and sometimes it's not. And then they hear about another indicator, and before you know it, you've got 5, 8 indicators on your screen, and they're all conflicting. Even if you're only using a couple, you just keep getting in your head about it. So that's why we wanted to really work on simplicity, so that we don't have to worry about emotions getting involved so much. So let's add that Oblivion cross so you can see what we're doing here. You see, it's so simple. It's so simple. You have a Oblivion cross here. Turns out to be a bull trap, but we're right out of it right away. So we can just flip what we're doing right here with probably a minimal loss, because if you are DCAing, or if you have a stop that's appropriate, this Oblivion Cross wouldn't have even mattered. And you can see how we really catch moves right here. Really good size moves. Now this is on the daily, and we can certainly go out to look at the 4 hour, and this will be good because we can see more closely what we're doing here, and also it'll lead us into the next little bit that we have. So the Genesis and Oblivion crosses are confirmation. They're candle confirmations. So that means it's closed, the candle has closed, and then you get the signal. So we wanted something a little faster than that, and the way that we were able to do it is to add a couple more breaching of the sky and falling into the abyss. And it's these candles, or I'm sorry, these signals right here where we can see. Let's go back out to the daily real quick. So we can see these sort of changes in movement. You see these right here. So you are getting on this daily, you get this candle close right below it. And if we go back to the 4 hour, you can see how you can really watch these on the 4 hour. And we're going to add in, we need to add in one more thing here, so so you understand why we're getting these signals here alongside the ones on the Genesis and the Oblivion crosses, because these gray triangles, they're an attempt to give you the fastest signal possible. So you're getting a 4 hour signal on an Oblivion or Genesis cross. But what we can do is we go here. The epoch is on. What do we need? Oh, we need the present moment on. And so the present moment is sort of a lower time frame wave that correlates with our epoch. And so you can see here what's happening is we're getting candle closes. These are sort of marking out candle closes on this lower time frame wave. So just because you see them up here, don't get confused that they're not down here on the epoch. They're actually showing you a close on this lower time frame wave. And you can see as we get close into these Oblivions and these Genesis moves that you will see this sometimes on reversal. So this helps us there. It's like right here we get the signal on the candle before the Genesis cross. And depending on how you were playing it, I mean, we are, for the most part, unless we're trying to make some big swing leverage trade, when we're using our just spot trades and we're using 3 commas automation, we're trying to get 2% every time. So you can see right here we get an easy 2% there. And depending on the symbol you're trading, some of those percentages can get bigger. And so you see right here we get the signal right before the Oblivion cross. So if you get this signal and you look at the chart and you can tell it's about to cross the Oblivion, you know that most likely you've got an incoming Oblivion cross. So your entry can be really good here. So you can see that. So one last thing that we added to this, which is so incredibly helpful, is this wave of eons. And I'm going to turn off some of the other features here just so you can concentrate on that. So you can see here what's happening. Sorry, we're gonna turn back on the epoch because this is actually really cool. It's really helpful. Here. So you can see here that there's sort of you get this strong current, this purple up wave. You see the trend that you're trading. It shows you support when it doesn't seem like there's any other support around. So you can also trade this wave. And by the way, all of the instructions have their own pages in our Discord. So not only can you ask questions in the Discord and get support that way, but there's instructions there as well. And this should be said in case I forget it later, that we have a 3 commas page for bot automations. So we tell you how to set up your alerts in 3 commas UI as well to be able to automate our indicators here. That's actually going really, really well for us. The trick is always on 3 commas is just to get your stop losses appropriate and your the amount of money that you're wagering appropriate depending on your amount of capital. But we have those percentages broken down. So you can see that no matter how much capital you have, you can see what percentages you need to put at which levels, which is really cool. So you can see here how we just sort of ride this wave all the way up. So sometimes you can do a DCA entry where your first entry is at the top of the wave, the middle of the wave, and the bottom of the wave, or you can just put one right on the strongest middle part of the wave with your stop below it. Sometimes we would, depending on what we're doing here, sometimes we would trade with a stop. We would use an entry here, but DCA this and put a stop down here. So you just sort of ride this thing all the way up, which is really cool. All right, we're going to move on to our next indicator, and hopefully we can get through it quickly. So I hope you enjoyed that one, and I hope it's exciting because it's a really cool indicator. It's cool also on stocks to just set the Oblivion and Genesis crosses on stocks, because on a lot of stocks that performs really well, which is great. Okay, the next one we have is called the Echoes of Time. The Echoes of Time it's basically a way of seeing recent supports, and this is a mathematical formula. So traditional supports may have you draw out lines like at pivot points. So like here, 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 and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But what we found with pivot points is that they would often miss, and you would miss entries. So our math formula here gives us very strong supports, but with using price data to calculate where that support might actually be, instead of just this rudimentary way of putting support and resistance lines on these pivots, because a lot of times those just don't get hit. Now, if this thing was going to break down further, it would certainly get hit and have a little bounce. So it's not to say that those don't work. You can also see how we've just got 2 here. That for the most part, that's because we went in this big downtrend, and then the price data is sort of coming from here. So it's whenever we see something like this and we're just curious, we're already on the daily, but when we're just curious, we could go to a bigger time frame to see some, or even drop down to the 15 minutes, so we could know exactly where we are, because these aren't the same 2 lines. If you look on this daily, see these 2 lines are way down here on the daily, and because we've had this like explosion up, and we're only tracking supports. That's why all this looks empty, because we're not tracking resistances up here. We're only tracking supports with this. And a big reason for that is this can be used as confluence. So you don't even necessarily have to think about it as a trading indicator, although you can certainly play these levels. But we use it as confluence as well. So when we add in like our flow of time, we can see here, okay, that we come down and we hit, got support, and flipped. So not only do we have support, but we flipped this thing and our wave turns, so we sort of know which direction it's going, if that makes sense. Echoes of Time, make sure I'm talking about everything in here. Nothing extra special in there. So let's go on to one that so much programming time has been put into this thing. This is something that we are really proud of, but if you like this one, stick around for the last one, because I think it's going to really, really blow your mind, especially when you think about all 4 of these together or just the last 2 in tandem. So this was the original idea. This was the original script. It's the Foresight script. And so if you're unfamiliar with how the myth says these come about, go to that website myth page and read about it. I think you'll think it's cool. So you can see here what we're starting to notice is we're catching some of these sort of spikes that are happening. And they're really good. I mean, yeah, this is a really cool one because you can see we're on the, let's go to the 4 hour and oh yeah, here we go. You will notice, and I would check the particular coins you want to trade. You can certainly trade all the coins. You just, some, like I say, will give you more signals and some less. And this is, so you see this is on Litecoin. And in the past several days, we've had a downturn in the market. So we've seen Bitcoin fall. I can't remember the percentage, but it's had just, a pretty good drop. I think, from 118,000 or something down to 110. I can't remember exactly where we're at. I haven't looked at Bitcoin in a couple days. But so we've had this fall, and Litecoin, so that's why I wanted to go to the 4 hour. Yeah, you can see it's sort of gone with everything else here. So this is the part, oh my gosh, I think I really love this, because if you just think about our 2% is what we're shooting for all the time. I don't even have to measure these. You get in on this one. I don't know. Say that opened a trade up for you right here. That's 5% right there. You can see if that's 5%. You can see just how we're getting our 2%. This is an incredible chart, because you're getting that. You actually don't get that here. So this one right here is, let me point this out about this indicator. On the flow of time, if you are in an uptrend, deep purple wave, we have super tight stops the way we trade this indicator on longs. Because when crypto gets moving bullish, it will just churn up, and you will see that. So we put really tight stops there, so we're not taking any big losses or anything. And then we DCA shorts. So even if you get something similar in a short, we've taken multiple orders below it. So we're almost, I don't like to say we're never losing shorts, but because we have our percentages right, we're not getting stuck. And that's another really big point. That's, besides simplicity, we were already making good trades, but what we would notice is we would get stuck in trades, and we really, really didn't like that. So that's why we want simple, we want fast, we want a lot, and we want to take a small percent and repeat that over and over and over and over. And that's what we've done for you here with the Foresight Suite of Indicators. And you've probably seen the price by now. If not currently, I think it works out to like $275 a day or something like that. It's a yearly subscription. So let's see. Okay, so the most important thing here to recognize is you can see how we're catching these signals, and man, we do a good job at it. We catch them really good. Now, this is part of the. Let me show you where it doesn't work good and be a little transparent. I saw this earlier on Solana. Let me look at some lines on that one. Let's look at we'll look at Coinbase. Yeah, perfect. So we can see here. We really like this because you can see how we've gone into this deep purple uptrend. You don't have to keep tight stops on these. You can DCA into these and then put a stop above it and win a huge percentage of these plays like this. But you can see here how right here on Solana, when it started to go long, it was, notice it's above the epoch. So that means it wants to be a bull. And then the Eon tells you not only does it want to be a bull, it is a bull. So even though we get this cluster up through here of signals that it just keeps churning through, these are not a problem to us. I mean, ideally, they wouldn't exist, but they're not a problem to us because we already know what the chart is doing. We already know what the chart is doing. So you can see how sometimes you will get this, and then sometimes you will, let's see. So right here, you get a good short, another good short. Right here, it just falls off a cliff, and you can see already, but look where it bounces. And then when it gets here, you get the oblivion cross. So you already know that it looks like you're going to go down some. And if you look at the oblivion crosses, let's see if this shows. It should show up here. Yeah. And so you get the oblivion cross. You already know that it's going to have a good leg down. Now you might be able to actually make money on this. You sure do. Oh, you catch that 2% and then some. It goes about 2.5%. So this trade is a win right here. So not only is this a win, you know it's going down. You see it make this kind of a move and then get a signal. You know you're probably about to get a bounce. So we're already into a win right there. And again, I mean, we found that 2% wins most trades. It's always up to the individual. This is all just we are selling indicators. You trading is your business. This is just education. So you can always go bigger or smaller, whatever suits you. I will say though, if you go bigger, it's a part of the problem that we identified was that people would go bigger, and it led to more emotion because you want the trade to be bigger. So you would lose more trades and or get stopped out of more trades. All right, so let's get back over to LTC. This is such a cool thing to look at. I think that's it. Oh, no. There's one more thing here I need to show you. These are multiple types of omens. So check this out. If there's a particular type that you don't like, you can just trade one, and it cleans the screen up for you so much. And you'll notice. Let's take a look at the Tesla stock. I meant to show you this too. Sorry, I've got some lines on this one. Let's get rid of these lines. I mean, just this one, we only have one alert on right here. Just one. And look how you can trade Tesla. And again, Tesla might change over time. Those things come and go. Those things change. But if you set up an alert on any of these and you look, the first thing you need to do is look at the chart, make sure the alert is still there because we have them coming early. You can see that it says early. That's on purpose. We actually had a previous indicator that came about a bar later on things. So you can see just how one, and again, we want to be honest and transparent and say it's not this magical every single time, but just Tesla as an example. I mean, these are just some incredible things here. As a matter of fact, it should be said on stocks, shorting stocks, you have to be set up with an exchange that's going to let you short in the first place. And it can be, they charge you to do so. So a lot of people just buy and sell. So the shorts up here don't even matter so much for most traders. Most traders will be buying. And so you can see these buy signals are incredible. I mean, that might be 2% right there, but even if it came back on you, this is a win. So this is it. Yeah, this is just really cool. I honestly can't wait to get back to just trading this stuff as much as before. Okay. All right. So last but not least, I think it's most people's favorite. And given that the Foresight indicator is that good, that's saying a lot. And given our mythology, this next one fits really well. It's called the Mystic Spell. I think that you could just take it in for a moment. We'll start here, or we can start back here. It's a win. That's a win. That's a win. That's a win. That's a... Let's see. Oh, by the way, we can scan watch lists, like a full crypto watch list, intra-bar. This is huge. We can scan intra-bar, and TradingView does not allow you to do that natively. They don't do that on the server side. So we have it built in to the code in our JSON payloads that go to 3 commas that we can scan these things intra-bar. Now, the risk in that is you can have a signal fire on and then fire back off, and you've taken a trade, which is not a problem for us because when it fires on, it takes a trade. We just watch it to make sure it closes as a real signal. So let's get back to business here. Where were we? Right here. We have on Heiken-Ashi candles, which, in my opinion, people should use. Again, simplicity. It cuts down on the noise. You see the averages, which is what you want to know. Now, you can trade regular candles. A lot of people learn that way, and there are certain candle types and patterns that people know to trade, and that's all fine and good. And this works on regular candles, but we would much rather trade it on here. So, yeah, you got that. That's a win. Let's see. It's probably a win. Where do we enter? Right here. On a short, that's a win. I mean, you've got almost a 1% uptick right here. So if you had a super tight stop, you get stopped out. If you had about a 1.25 stop, which is nice sometimes because somehow price knows that a lot of people like to use round numbers, 1% stop, and it will get you. A lot of times it will just stop you out. Let's see what we got here. So probably the same sort of situation through here. This one actually looks like of the bunch, the first one you would get stopped out of. That's a win. That's a win. Yeah, that's definitely a win. Let's see. Win. Loss. That's probably stopped out. So we got of all these, we got stopped out twice. And remember on these longs, we're normally taking DCAs on these. I'm not sure how far this fell. That's a long way. It fell 12.5%. And just to give you a peek behind the curtain, we have a tier system, and our tier system, tier 2 has a collection of cryptos, and we know that we're going to DCA down through 12%. So then this went 0.5% lower, and we actually do not currently use stops on longs. because so many times that 12%, it's going to get you a bounce. It may fall 40%, but it's not going to do it straight down. I think during the COVID collapse, there was like 1 to 2 really big candles where things just got crushed. But for the most part, you're trading all year long for several years on end, and this thing will normally get a bounce within 12%. And we figured those things out. We know how much a normal fall is going to be. So we just DCA into that and win the thing. So the last thing that we need to touch on here, and then we'll sort of put it all together and in the video, is you're probably wondering if you've noticed there's some white triangles here. We don't get a lot on here, but what this is saying, like, not only, so we call these spells, long spells and short spells. Not only do you get the spell, but you get the white triangle. And what that means is not only the spell is happening, but the spell just also happens to have confluence with a couple of other really important things. Now, you can see right here that you got a spell right before this big collapse. So this doesn't necessarily mean that it will be perfect or powerful, but it does tell you that, hey, it's not only the spell that's saying this thing is going to go up, but I can see right here, you know, if you know simple support and resistance, you can see that immediately, and you see how it fell and bounced and it just couldn't keep it. And so once this fell, this whole pattern, this huge pattern is broken. And so if you know how to trade technicals, you know that this pattern should break down. Its length should be about from here to here. That should be the length that it breaks down. And you can see that length and this length is about the same roughly. So there's a telltale sign there that something's going on. Now we actually have one more signal where it's a set of stacked triangles. And so it's one triangle on top of another triangle, which is even more confluence. So that means even more things say it's going to go a particular direction. And sometimes you will see one of those or just one of these with an explosive move in the correct direction. All right, let's put it all together. So we have the mystic spell. This will get a little busy on the page, and we recommend that you are mostly looking at 1 to 2 indicators at a time because of that issue. But you could tell too, it's just a beautiful, beautiful set of indicators. So your eyes aren't constantly being barraged by a million different colors. And there's color psychology at play here too. With traditional red and green, red makes you feel fear. It makes you feel anxiety. So you're less likely to take a long trade when you're seeing red, even though that's how you have to know that you're trading against the grain for the most part. You catch the longs because you know where the level's at or the signal's at to go long. So if you're just constantly watching green and red, you're constantly chasing. And if you chase, you lose almost all the time. So we're going to add in our signals. Now you can see this right here. We could have just stopped short right here because between these two things, it's such a powerful set of indicators. And that's where our price point is where it's at, because if anything is worth it, this is worth it. And I've been trading for years, and this is the most excited I've ever been about any indicator I've ever had. That means everything that's freely available and the ones I've paid for and paid a big chunk of money for. And by the way, we have options on the website to use some buy now, pay later options so you can break that thing up into smaller payments to just try to make it better for everybody. And it is our plan. The Discord's actually open, but we do have private pages for people that have bought the indicator. And there's a plan to not only to give the people that haven't bought it yet some insight into how people are using it and some of just the support of the Discord, but also maybe a couple of little free tools in there that everyone can have some access to, at least some sort of charts to help you trade better. So we'll go with the echoes of time here, and just because of the nature of these past few days, we're not seeing a lot. Let's go down the 15-minute and see. Yeah, we just check it out here because you get the same thing. See how you get a short signal and pow, dumps out. Long signal, up. You get the same sort of thing there, but you can see here how we get. You get this entry and it comes down and it gets support. Oh, we got a double triangle. So you got a double triangle and you have support. I mean, how much more confidence does one need than that? You can see over here, we get a little cluster of failing signals. Now we DCA into this, now which actually could have been a bit of a problem here. But if you look at this over the course of like a 4-hour chart, this isn't quite as scary because we aren't DCAing 15-minute charts. We're not playing 15-minute charts. The 15-minute chart is something like if you're just sitting around all day that you can stare at it and play it, fine. But we don't do that. You can totally do it though. You can totally do it with this suite of indicators. The thing to remember here is something that enough people don't think about is you should be checking your weekly and daily time frames. They're the most strong time frames. The daily really will, it won't hurt you as much sometimes as the weekly will. But the daily is so strong, and then you go down to the 4-hour, and it's not as strong as the daily. And this is true across all price action, all time frames. So we play the 4-hour for the most part, and then just run some alerts on the daily, because you can see on some of the daily, just the swings are so big. You can, if you're willing to spot trade those, or you could even leverage trade them if you got the right entry, are huge. But the reason why people don't look at daily enough is because it takes so long to play out and people are impatient. And that's what really kills people's trading too, is just being so impatient. So we're trying to solve for that as well. So we're trading the 4-hour for the most part. And you can see here, so we've added in the echoes of time. We're just not finding any. The calculations aren't putting any in here because we're falling out of range. If we were in range, these don't exist anymore because the math isn't using this price data anymore. So we're using the most recent because that's the most relevant price data. If we were up in this range, you would probably see some echoes of time in here. So last but not least, let's add it all together, and we have just something phenomenal in my opinion. We need to make sure that we've got on our Genesis crosses here. And so we're just gonna look at this thing from this 4-hour perspective. We got the Genesis cross. We now know that we're above the epoch. We now know that we are deep purple, strong uptrend. We know to have tight stops on these, because in this crypto bull market, it just keeps pushing up. Now, because of where we're at in time, there's a lot of euphoria going on. There's a lot of split because there's euphoria going on. Some people think we're going to explode and Bitcoin's going to go from where it's at now to 160,000 to 200,000, so on and so forth. And some people are saying we're ready for a deep pullback. So we'll see about that. But you can tell that we don't even so much even care about that. We don't have to know what and where Bitcoin's gonna do. We don't. We just follow the Foresight Suite of Indicators because we know it's a strong uptrend. Careful shorting those. Keep tight stops. You still short them. Still make money. Totally still make money. and then whenever we cross down, we DCA into shorts. Yeah, and you can certainly use other things to find more confluence. I would warn against it. The only other thing that I may personally use, and I wouldn't even keep it on my screen, I would just look at it if I got curious, was RSI. But besides that's the only thing that I would maybe peek at every once in a while. So there you have it. It's the Foresight Scrolls, Foresight Suite of TradingView Indicators. We hope that you've really liked what you've seen. You've really been interested. And we are looking forward to you being on the Discord. That's all. The invite's also available on the website. In multiple places on the website, it has its own page. So we look forward to seeing you on the Discord. And for those of you that decide to purchase the suite, we're really, really excited for you and for this big opportunity that we all now have. And if you can't tell, we've packaged this whole thing finally, and I'm so excited. We have some very, very special few people that give these signals and sort of are at the forefront of understanding these things. And we are really grateful that is the case, because we have something really special here. Okay, everybody. Thank you for watching, and may you be well.